Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Press Information Bureau, I welcome you all to this press conference. It's my privilege and honor to introduce the Union Minister for Human Resources Development, Srimati Smriti Zubin Irani ji. I extend a warm welcome to you, Madam. I also welcome Secretary Education and Literacy, Shri R. Bhattacharya, Additional Secretary School Education, Ms. Vrunda Sarup, Joint Secretary Higher Education, Shri R.P. Sisodia. Today's format of the press conference will be something like this. First, there will be a short PPT, PowerPoint presentation, on the initiatives of the Ministry of HRD in the last 3 months. The first part of it will be presented by the Secretary, School Education. The second part of it, which is also a very short PPT, will be presented by Joint Secretary Higher Education, Shri Sisodia. Thereafter, there will be introductory remarks by the Honorable Minister. Then the field is open for question and answers. My dear friends, as usual, I request you, please ask the questions one by one. And before asking, please state your name and your organization. And also kindly, I request you to switch off your mobiles or keep them in silent mode. Let's start with the PPT. क्या हो गया?
Thank you for the opportunity given today to interact with all of you. You have had a concise 4.5-minute summary of quite a number of initiatives which have been done during the course of the last 100 days. The literature on all these items is available outside since we are not allowed to bring it inside. I will take you through some of these initiatives with marginally more detail than is available so that we grasp each of the items in its context which is there. The first item, as you would have seen, focuses on quality. Learning outcomes are a cause of concern, and therefore, in these last 3.5 months, the highest focus has been there on how to improve quality outcomes. And for this, you are aware that the Minister has released on 26th August the program Padhe Bharat, Bade Bharat Abhiyan. It was the first item in our presentation on this short film, and its focus is on quality. It's a twin-track approach to focus on the areas where learning deficits come, both in terms of time and in terms of subject. In terms of time, learning deficit in classes 1 and 2 contribute to all deficits in learning later because it is difficult to catch up. And in terms of subjects, it is early reading, writing, numeracy, and mathematics. So these are the main areas. The focused approach is because there are two system-level improvements and classroom-level improvements which are required. Some of the states had been doing it previously, but a large number of states which required to do a contextual focus on this have been assisted in so doing in the course of the last 100 days and also organized program to release of the funds. While this is at the primary stage, a second focus has been on the upper primary level, which translates into a program which we are at the stages of finalizing, which is called the Rashtriya Avishkar Abhiyan. And this would focus on science, mathematics, the creativity of learning, the desire to have a free will in terms of the mind going into directions which any child can be encouraged to do. For this purpose, the help of some of the finest scientists and educators in the country is being taken, and this pertains to both the school education as well as the higher education sector. And in the next few months, you would have an opportunity to see the rollout after the programs are completely finalized. If learning outcomes contribution is there, they have to be assessed. And assessment has not been a focus area in many of the states, though the NCERT does it every 3 years. It is required for each state to do it every year because of the requirement of a third-party assessment. The normal assessment which takes place is by the teacher and the school environment. We have had consultations with the states, and the states are now convinced each and every state will take up a third-party assessment every year so that corrective measures are taken on an annual basis for improvements of the outcomes. Inclusive education has been a huge focus. We have around 1.2% of the children from the category of children with special needs. A focus is there to get more numbers so that the total 2% are achieved. But within that, two areas which required an immediate attention were in terms of curricular adaptations for children with special needs so that the teaching and learning methodology for them, you are aware, I've shared it with you after the Union Minister released this recently. The curricular adaptations, the version 1 has come out, and in the film we have showed that all the teachers would be trained on this curricular adaptation methodology. We are working on the assessment adaptation for children with special needs, and we hope by January 2015 we will come out with that. Along with this, encompassing everything is the ICT in education, and you would be happy to know that this 4-week MOOC massive online open course on open education resource has been launched on 5th September. More than 1,500 people have registered for it. It is there on the NROER website, which had been released a couple of months back. On this NROER website, we have completed training in the last 3 months for all the states for creating, sharing, and translating of content. And you would be happy to know that content is now available in 29 languages and 14 tribal dialects. Dialects such as Galo, Jharkhand, Kartha, Santali, Methi, Meghalaya, you have Garo, Khasi, Mizo, Ao, Tendiad, Bhutia, Lepcha, Limbo, Nepali, Kokbarok in Tripura, and all these 14 dialects, and more would be coming onto that NROER stage. You would also be happy to know that the textbooks of the NCERT have been put on the NROER website in open education system resource format, and it's for the first time that this has been done. This was done about 3 weeks back. And we have also put in a huge number of content from various partner agencies on the NROER. It's multiplying, and it'll keep multiplying the more the people come. Second part of our initiatives has been on governance. You would have seen in the film some parts of it. I'd like to carry you through to few more elements of that. One part of the governance obviously is student performance, and that is the SLAS item which we spoke of. But if improvements have to take place, it is the school and the school leadership which has to do improvement, apart from the government as an agency to facilitate the school. So in this part of it, we had worked out a school leadership program, and this year this is being rolled out in a large number of the states for training master trainers. If the school leadership is there, the school performance has to be there, and that's why the film shows that we are working on a comprehensive school performance standards and a school assessment framework. What does it imply? First implication is that this focus on this is to do self-assessment by the school, facilitated with an external assessment with the objective of improvement of the school rather than inspecting of the school. It has various elements which are being worked on. The first element obviously is the infrastructure element, which is already there in terms of our DICE records and others. It will be incorporated. But more than that is the core element, which is about learning. And in learning, there are elements of equity, diversity, teaching learning methodology, assessment, leadership, supportive environment, including learning outcomes. You are aware that our school report cards are there based on the DICE record. Today you can see it on your Android platform, on your mobile. You get onto each school that you want to into your school. Our objective is finally the school assessment should also come on the school report cards on this. So this is being worked on. The other elements which are there are Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, which we have taken you through. For this, first item is concentrating on the neighborhood schools, activate the SMCs for enrollment of the schools, the girls, and we have certain number of districts which we have focused where the girls' enrollment is lesser than what the percentage population should be, and that's our target area. And first part of the target area is where it is lesser by 2% more than what there is. That comes to nearly 33 districts, and thereafter all the other districts which have been numbered. We have SMC prizes and others. Swachh Vidyalaya, a program announced by the Prime Minister on 15th. The strategy was finalized on 22nd August. Based on that, the National Conference of Education Secretaries was convened on 26th. And based on the items which are finalized, the Prime Minister released the brochure on 5th September. We have had a meeting with all the ministries concerned yesterday. And out of these meetings is an outcome of nearly 400 crores worth of effort, which the public sector undertakings would be doing directly themselves. More would be coming forward on these, and these are in addition to the private sector initiatives which are there. Some in substance, in short, these are some of the items, more as we go. Thank you very much.
Now I request Joint Secretary Shri Sisodia to give his presentation.
Password. Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. I take this opportunity to thank everyone present here for this press conference. Friends, as you are aware, the education for girls remains one of the major areas of concern in this country. The Honorable Minister, the day she took over, had taken cognizance of this fact and told all of us that we must do something to ensure that the girl education in this country is brought at par with all others. Taking that into account, the ministry as well as different agencies which are there in the taking that into account, the all the agencies, the regulatory agencies, the promoting agencies that are there, they have thought about it, deliberated upon it, and decided that we must have special schemes in order to see that girls' education is brought at par. As on today, the gender parity index happens to be 0.88. That means as against 100 male children, only 88 female children are going to the higher education. And when it comes to the professional technical education, the percentage of girls attending this higher education is only 27%. So we have initiated a few schemes which would go a long way in ensuring that we provide equal opportunities to the girl children to access education. The first of the initiative happens to be what we call UDAN, which has been initiated by CBSE. This is essentially an attempt to see that the girls are prepared with special education, special online resources, coaching if required, in order to improve their knowledge and learning in science and mathematics so that they can compete and succeed in the technical education competitive exams. 1,000 selected disadvantaged girls per year would be specially supported. This is a free online resource which will be available for all, but the special focus in order to see that 1,000 girls are enabled to migrate to the technical education institutions. The second scheme which has been announced by UGC pertains to giving a push for research for the girl students. And this is called Swami Vivekanand Single Girl Child Junior Research Fellowship. And this is for social sciences. About 300 girls will be supported at the rate of 8,000 rupees or 10,000 rupees per month in order to see that they are provided fellowship so that they can pursue their higher education. The third scheme which is launched is by AICTE, which we are calling Pragati, providing assistance to Girls Advancement in Technical Education Initiative. This is a merit cum means scholarship, and 4,000 girls would be supported every year to pursue technical education, and they would be given 30,000 rupees for tuition fee and also 2,000 rupees per month for contingency allowance. Now, after this, there was also a realization that we need to have special scheme for the differently abled children, for them to enable them to pursue technical education. AICTE has launched a scheme under which 1,000 scholarships would be given per annum to differently abled students to pursue technical education, and 30,000 rupees would be provided as tuition fee, and also 2,000 rupees per month as contingency allowance. We are conscious of the fact that northeastern states and northeastern region has been slightly neglected, and lot of northeastern students migrate to different parts of the country in order to pursue higher education. As of now, there is no support that is available specially to these children who come maybe from the economically backward sections, and they have to cater to themselves, and they have to take admission and perhaps take hand loans and pursue their education. So we have started a new scheme by UGC, which is called Ishan Uday. About 10,000 scholarships would be given to the students of Northeast to pursue education in different parts of the country, be it in Delhi, be it in Bangalore, be it in Chennai, anywhere. And the amount that will be available to each student would be ranging from 3,500 rupees to 5,000 rupees per per student, depending on what kind of program he or she is pursuing. The second scheme is Ishan Vikas, which is a scheme to give exposure to the northeastern children to go stay in different institutions of higher learning, quality institutions which happen to be there, IITs, NITs, ISAs, IIM, wherein for 10 days they would stay there, understand what sort of teaching learning takes place, avail of the facilities and opportunities that are available. A group of students would be taken under the stewardship of one teacher, and they would be sent to different institutions so that they get exposure, and when they go back, they can integrate or incorporate this learning and the exposure they have had. Now, coming to the fact that in this country there is a lot of shortage of teachers and good teachers, and especially in the backward areas, we need to ensure that the talented academics and good teachers are made available, whether they are from India or from abroad. So we have initiated a scheme by which we would ensure that eminent scholars, scientists, or even from other backgrounds would come from within the country or from abroad who are interested in coming, staying in our institutions, teaching our students, guiding our research. So this scheme we are calling GYAN, which is Global Initiative for Academic Networks, and we are shortly going to announce this. The next is, we have not been able to utilize the information communication technology resources that are available at our command in order to ensure that we leverage the existing gross effort that is taking place on the education. Now, there is a very ambitious program that we have launched, and that has different components, but the essential objective of this is that we must utilize ICT resources to reach out to the last student that happens to be there. Each student should be able to access best of the knowledge that is available in the world, best of the content that is available, best of the teachers and teaching that is happening in the world. So, as part of that process, we started a few schemes. First of all, it is Swayam, which is the Indian version of what we keep calling as MOOCs. This will be available shortly to the Indian, not only students, but Indian citizens. Anyone who feels like undergoing or taking a particular course out of sheer interest or in order to become gainfully employed or for any other reason, he or she may simply access, and this will be similar to the world-class delivery systems, online delivery systems that happen to be existing. And for that purpose, our institutions, IITs, IIMs, and central universities, they would be taking up core disciplines, their subject areas, and also create content, create courses which will be available online, and if required, even certificates would be issued. The second scheme which our Honorable President had announced in his speech to Parliament is National E-Library. The National E-Library would ensure that it is an online portal to make available to everyone, students, researchers, the digital content that is there, be it books, be it journals, be it their theses, the research papers, everything should be available in the E-Library. Then AICT has started a portal, which is Know Your College portal, by which every student or a parent who is there can figure out what this college is about, what are the strengths of the college, what are the weaknesses, how many teachers are there, how many students, what is the curriculum, what is the content, what are the classes taking place, and all that information at the click of a button would be available. Then we have started a program which is called Campus Connect. Campus Connect would essentially be a program by which our overall idea is that all the institutions of higher learning in this country should be Wi-Fi enabled, should be connected with each other, with a national system of knowledge. And for that, we have prepared a scheme by which, through resources available at our command, we would be eventually connecting all the universities, all the colleges with each other, and within each institution there would be a Wi-Fi network so that each and every student can access whatever is available on the internet. Then coming to research, which is again an area of focus for the government, UGC has launched a scheme which is for encouraging postdoctoral research. And for that, the UGC would be supporting 300 fellows every year, and this scheme is being called Dr. S. Radhakrishnan Postdoctoral Fellowship. Similarly, AICT has again announced a scheme to provide 1,000 scholarships per annum to pursue PhD in CSIR, DRDO, and other laboratories. Then another scheme of AICT has also been launched, which is Quality Improvement Program, under which 7,500 scholarships would be given for MTech and 2,500 for the PhD. Now, another thing is that while we have created institutions which are globally recognized and have global repute, at times we understand, and our Honorable Minister is very conscious, that whatever happens in a institution of national importance or a reputed institution should be available to public at large, society at large, and especially the people who are disadvantaged, those who are from the rural areas and all. So, nationally relevant themes of research have been identified. The institutions have been identified which would be undertaking research on these particular themes. For want of time, I wouldn't go through. This is there on the slide. And this program we are calling Imprint India, which stands for Impacting Research, Innovation and Technology for India. Then, coming to socially relevant research, these two are in a way connected. Whatever is possible, whatever research is taking place, that should eventually be converted into socially useful capital, one which is available and which is made use of by everyone. And in that connection, we have launched what is called Unnat Bharat Abhiyan, and it's a network of IITs and other academic institutions to evolve appropriate technologies, and technologies which go a long way in ensuring that without too many resources, we still are able to improve the quality of life that is there in the country. Enhancing employability for vocational education, UGC and AICT have started a scheme by which they are supporting community colleges. The UGC has also announced a new scheme which is Be Vocational, in which a person can obtain a degree in a vocation of his or her choice and be employable. Similarly, in order to ensure that there are bridges built between the industry and academia, a Council for Industry Higher Education Collaboration is being operationalized to identify initiatives to promote research, mobilize resources, and undertake socially relevant research. Last but not the least, which is perhaps the least reported or understood, is that within 100 days, it's decided to create centrally funded 23 centrally funded new institutions, 22. Out of 22, 3 happen to be not within this ministry, but there is going to be a petroleum university, there is going to be agriculture university, but within this ministry alone, Department of Higher Education, in an unprecedented manner, we have decided to set up 19 institutions, few of which were announced by the Honorable Finance Minister in his speech, few of which have come by way of the Act, which had the AP Reorganization Act, and also one of that would be Jai Prakash Narayan National Center for Excellence in Humanities. Now, this is only what has been done in 100 days. We were just trying to do a reckoning, and we figured out that in Department of Higher Education, we have almost created 35 new schemes. So I take this opportunity to thank everyone again.
Thank you, Mr. Sisodia. Now I request the Honorable Minister to make her introductory remarks.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming and partaking in our journey of the past 100 days through the MHRD. I thank Mr. Bhattacharya and Mr. Sisodia for the presentation vis-à-vis school education and higher education. I think that the presentation in itself was pretty exhaustive. Hence, I will only restrict myself to thanking the officers in the MHRD who have assisted us in ensuring that the 100 days have not only helped us initiate some new programs, but also help us draw the path forward vis-à-vis science, technology and research. Since today is the 11th of September, a day where Swami Vivekananda gave that historic speech in Chicago, I also take this opportunity through the media to appeal to all vice-chancellors across all central universities, state universities and deemed university that the UGC has proposed a plan whereby chairs can be set up in the name of Swami Vivekananda so that Swami Vivekananda's philosophy, teachings and life can be researched upon and studied. I appeal to all these institutions to avail of this particular grant by the UGC. Ladies and gentlemen, now I'm open to questions from you. Thank you.
Yeah, please.
नमस्ते, मैं श्रीराम जोशी महाराष्ट्र के पुढ़ारी अखबार से हूँ। स्मृति जी, आपसे एक सवाल है कि अभी कुछ दिन पहले आरएसएस चीफ मोहन भागवत जी ने आपसे एक अपेक्षा व्यक्त की है, रखी है कि शिक्षा सस्ती हो जाएगी। इस बारे में क्या हो रहा है?
धन्यवाद श्रीराम जी। मुझे लगता है कि अपेक्षा देश भर के नागरिकों से थी कि शिक्षा हर घर तक, हर नागरिक तक पहुंचे और उसके दो आयाम जो अभी अभी आपके प्रेजेंटेशन में आप देख पाए हैं उसका उल्लेख करना चाहूंगी। एक है स्वयं, जो मैसिव ऑनलाइन कोर्सेज है जो सभी नागरिकों के लिए हम प्रस्तुत करने वाले हैं मुफ्त में, और दूसरा है नेशनल ई लाइब्रेरी। इन दो बातों का अगर उल्लेख करूं तो वो लोग जो चाहते हैं कि विद्या का आशीर्वाद मिले वो टेक्निकल इंटरफेस के माध्यम से इस विद्या को प्राप्त कर पाएंगे।
Madam, Vijayalakshmi from NewsX channel. Just wanted to know what Ministry of HRD is doing to tackle the incident of ragging. From Scindia School to Vishwa Bharati University, there have been complaints lodged by parents and there has been uproar in the entire country, but we haven't heard, what is going to happen and how the ministry is planning to tackle that in coming days.
In case of Vishwa Bharati case, I would like to bring to your attention that the UGC had sent a fact-finding mission to Vishwa Bharati to get us their observations. We are made to believe that police investigation is currently ongoing. Upon submission of the report by the UGC to MHRD, we will take further action. Insofar as the Scindia school ragging case goes, the CBSE had sent regional representation to give us a report, and further recommendations vis-à-vis action has been communicated to the state government. But I would also like to say that insofar as incidents of ragging goes, the ministry through its directives and through various policy initiatives has been extremely vocal in ensuring that such incidents of violence which disrupt student life should be frowned upon and immediate and action should be taken. We have communicated that time and again.
Please
जी।
speak in the mic.
मैं सवाल सुन सकती हूँ पूनम जी, आप बोले।
सवाल यह है कि अभी जो टीचर्स डे पे प्रोग्राम हुआ था पीएम का, कितने स्टूडेंट्स ने उसमें पार्टिसिपेट किया था और क्या स्टेट वाइज उसका डेटा मिल सकता है?
मैं आपसे इतना ही कह पाऊंगी इस वक्त कि राष्ट्र भर से जो विविध प्रदेशों ने हमें जानकारी उपलब्ध कराई है, उस जानकारी हेतु इतना कह पाऊंगी कि 8.5 लाख से ज्यादा स्कूल्स ने 5 सितंबर के उस ऐतिहासिक कार्यक्रम में भाग लिया और अब तक की संख्या जो राज्यों ने हमें पहुंचाई है वो संख्या है 9,51,51,534 स्टूडेंट्स. थैंक यू.
स्मृति जी, रमन फ्रॉम न्यूज 24.
जी,
मैम, 15 अगस्त को जो प्रधानमंत्री ने भाषण दिया था, अभी आपने क्लिपिंग्स भी दिखाई कि बड़े पैमाने पे जो स्कूल्स में टॉयलेट्स हैं उसके लिए प्रधानमंत्री ने कॉर्पोरेट सेक्टर को इनिशिएट करने को कहा. तो 15 अगस्त के बाद से क्या इस मामले में इनिशिएट शुरू हो गया है? और दूसरा सवाल एक उसी से जुड़ा हुआ है कि मैम, इससे पहले लगातार ये बात आती रही है कि यूपीए 1 और यूपीए 2 के समय में एचआरडी मिनिस्टर की तरफ से काफी इलीगल काम किया गया. इसके बारे में कुछ जवाब आप दे पाएंगे, कपिल सिब्बल या पल्लम राजू के वक्त में?
आपके 2 प्रश्न हैं. पहला आपका प्रश्न जो शौचालय से संबंधित है, तो मैं आपसे कहना चाहूंगी कि अभी भट्टाचार्य जी ने आपके सामने प्रस्तुत किया है कि हमने क्या क्या कदम उठाए. 15 अगस्त को आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने अपनी चिंता जब व्यक्त की, उसके बाद 22 अगस्त को ही हमने इस विषय पे अपने मंत्रालय में कुछ ठोस कदम उठाने के लिए शुरुआत कर दिया था. अगर आप एमएचआरडी की वेबसाइट पर जाएं तो प्रांतवार, जिलावार और प्रत्येक स्कूल का डेटा उपलब्ध है कि किन किन स्कूलों में इस वक्त शौचालय है, किन में नहीं है और किन में होने के बावजूद भी जो डिस्फंक्शनल है, जो काम नहीं कर रहे हैं, इसकी जानकारी उपलब्ध है. कल ही 25 मंत्रालयों के बीच में एमएचआरडी के सौजन्य से एक मीटिंग हुई जिसमें हमारे पीएसयूज जो हैं वो कितना योगदान दे सकते हैं इसकी चर्चा हुई. एक्शन प्लान इसका बनाया गया. साथ ही मैं कॉर्पोरेट इंडिया के उन व्यक्तियों को, उन संगठनों को धन्यवाद देना चाहती हूं जिन्होंने इस कार्यक्रम में रुचि दिखाई है. आगामी कुछ सप्ताह में आपके पास स्वच्छ विद्यालय की हमारी जो कल्पना है वो धरातल पर कैसे पूर्ण होगी, इसके कई बिंदु हम प्रस्तुत करेंगे. जहां तक कि यूपीए 1, यूपीए 2 के कुछ कंट्रोवर्सीज का आपने उल्लेख किया, मैं आपसे इतना ही कहना चाहूंगी कि ये सरकार एक सार्थक रूप से जनता की सेवा शिक्षा के क्षेत्र में कर सके, एमएचआरडी के माध्यम से हमारा ध्येय मात्र यही है. लेकिन साथ में ये भी कहना चाहूंगी कि अपने कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल मर्यादा में रहते हुए हम जितनी सेवा जनता को उपलब्ध करा पाएंगे, हमारा उद्देश्य मात्र ये है. दिस मिनिस्ट्री और दिस प्लेटफॉर्म इज नॉट गोइंग टू बी यूज्ड फॉर विच हंटिंग.
कृष्ण मोहन शर्मा, मैं न्यूज नेशन से. स्मृति जी, 2 सवाल है. एक तो हमारे भारत में ड्रॉप आउट की बहुत बड़ी समस्या है. जो बच्चे स्कूल में 12th के बाद ग्रेजुएशन में जाते हैं और हायर स्टडी तक बहुत ही कम पहुंच पाते हैं. एक सवाल है. दूसरा सवाल ये है कि क्या यूजीसी आने वाले समय में भी जो 4 इयर्स कोर्स है उसको परस्यू नहीं करेगा, आगे शुरू नहीं कराएगा?
आपके 2 प्रश्न हैं, एक ड्रॉप आउट से संबंधित है और दूसरा यूजीसी के एकेडमिक इवैल्यूएशन ऑफ किस प्रकार से शिक्षा प्रदान की जाए उच्च शिक्षा में, ये आपका सवाल है. ड्रॉप आउट की जो आपने चिंता व्यक्त की, उसी चिंता का समाधान हेतु हमने जो अभी उल्लेख किया अपने प्रेजेंटेशन में, स्कॉलरशिप्स विशेषतः लड़कियों के लिए, वो बच्चे जो एससी, एसटी और माइनॉरिटी के हैं उनके लिए सारी स्कॉलरशिप्स की डिटेल आपको अभी दे दी जाएगी, जो हमारे प्रेजेंटेशन का भी हिस्सा था. मैंने स्वयं इस बात को देखा कि किस प्रकार से बेटियों का जो रिजल्ट होता है, सीबीएसई के जो परिणाम होते हैं, उसमें वो बेटों से उत्तीर्ण होती हैं, थोड़ा आगे बढ़ती हैं, लेकिन उनका ट्रांजिशन जो है टेक्निकल एजुकेशन के क्षेत्र में कम रहता है क्योंकि उन्हें इनेबलिंग कोई फैक्टर मिलता नहीं है. इसीलिए प्रगति नाम के इस आयाम को हमने शुरू किया. चूंकि आप महिला सशक्तिकरण पर अपनी चिंता व्यक्त कर रहे थे और ये सही भी है, आपको धन्यवाद दूंगी उसके लिए. मैं कहना चाहूंगी कि मंत्री होने के नाते मेरा सौभाग्य रहा है कि देश के इतिहास में पहली बार आईआईटी काउंसिल, जो सर्वोच्च काउंसिल है हमारे आईआईटीज के लिए, उसमें 2 महिला प्रतिनिधियों को नियुक्त करने का मुझे सौभाग्य प्राप्त हुआ. देश के इतिहास में पहली बार इंडियन इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ एडवांस स्टडीज में पहली महिला चेयरपर्सन को नियुक्त करने का मुझे सौभाग्य प्राप्त हुआ. जहां तक कि 4 ईयर कोर्स का सवाल है, मुझे लगता है कि हमारी नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी 1986 में जिस प्रकार से हमने बनाई थी, उसके आधार पर इस वक्त यूजीसी काम कर रही है. मैंने कई अपने बयानों में अथवा अपने इंटरव्यूज में ये कहा है कि देश को अब जरूरत है एक नई एजुकेशन पॉलिसी की, जिसमें एकेडमिक मेरिट किस प्रकार से कौन सा कोर्स कैसे पढ़ाया जाना चाहिए, इसके ऊपर भी चर्चा शामिल होगी, जो प्रांतवार, क्षेत्रवार और राष्ट्रीय स्तर पे की जाएगी। हमारा प्रयास ये है कि ये डेलिब्रेशन नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी पर जनवरी 2015 से शुरू हो जाए राष्ट्र भर में, और किस प्रकार से किस कोर्स को स्ट्रक्चर किया जाना चाहिए, इसमें भी सभी स्टेक होल्डर्स का व्यू लिया जाएगा।
मैम, मैं दीपाली हूँ CNBC आवाज से। आपसे जानना चाहूंगी, आपने कहा कि एक नई एजुकेशन पॉलिसी जल्द से जल्द इंप्लीमेंट की जाएगी, लेकिन अगर हम
मैंने डेलिब्रेशन की बात की तो थोड़ा संशोधन कर लीजिए अपने प्रश्न में।
बिल्कुल, अगर हम राइट टू एजुकेशन की बात करें तो पिछली सरकार भी लगातार कहती आई है कि जल्द से जल्द इसको इम्प्लीमेंट किया जाएगा पूरे देश भर में, लेकिन अभी जब आप आए तो आपने बोला कि कई सुधार इसमें होने हैं और आपकी मंत्रालय लगातार इस पर काम कर रही है। तो यही जानना चाहूंगी कि राइट टू एजुकेशन का भी क्या स्टेटस है और देश भर में कब तक हम इसको हकीकत में उतरते हुए देखेंगे।
मैं इतना बताना चाहूंगी आपको कि जो 86 कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल अमेंडमेंट था हमारे देश में, उसने इंस्टीट्यूशनलाइज किया राइट टू एजुकेशन को, और वो कदम ऐतिहासिक उठाया गया जब एनडीए की सरकार बनी थी अटल जी के नेतृत्व में। ये सत्य है कि मैंने अपने कथन में इकोनॉमिक टाइम्स को ये बयान दिया है कि राइट टू एजुकेशन एक्ट हो अथवा सर्व शिक्षा अभियान हो, इन सभी विषयों पर हम एक रिव्यू करेंगे। कुछ गत 100 दिनों में इन विषयों से संबंधित जब भी प्रदेश के प्रतिनिधियों से अथवा मुख्यमंत्रियों से मैं मिली हूं तो उन्होंने कुछ अपनी चैलेंजेस, अपनी दरकार हमारे सामने प्रस्तुत की हैं। हाल ही में स्टेट एजुकेशन सेक्रेटरीज के भी जब परिचर्चा हुई, उसमें भी इन सभी विषयों पर रिव्यू की दरकार सबने व्यक्त की है। बहुत ही जल्द इस रिव्यू प्रोसेस को भी जब हम मटीरियलाइज करेंगे तो आपको उसकी सारे बिंदु आपके सामने प्रस्तुत किए जाएंगे।
एक सवाल अरविंद कुमार UNI वार्ता से।
जी
मैडम, कुछ दिन पहले अखबारों में खबर छपी थी कि आप गुजरात मॉडल को देश भर में लागू इम्प्लीमेंट करेंगी। हम लोग ये जानना चाहते थे कि क्या गुजरात मॉडल लागू होगा तो दीनानाथ बत्रा की किताबें देश भर में पढ़ाई जाएंगी क्या?
मैं आपका धन्यवाद देती हूं कि आप न्यूज़पेपर्स की अटकलों के माध्यम से, एक सवाल के माध्यम से कोई ना कोई कंट्रोवर्सी की पुष्टि करने का प्रयास कर रहे हैं। मेरा मात्र एक ही ध्येय है जो मैंने पार्लियामेंट में पिछले सेशन में भी व्यक्त किया था कि हमारे जो भी कदम होंगे, चाहे वो स्कूली शिक्षा हो या उच्च शिक्षा हो, वो सब कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल मोडालिटीज, मर्यादा और रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी के संदर्भ में ही होंगे।
Smriti ji, I am Naz Asghar from UNI.
Yes.
There have been frequent reports of irregularities in the country's one of the most premium institutions of learning, Aligarh Muslim University. And the Vice President is also reported to have written to the ministry, especially into the irregularities in the appointment of the registrar. So what action the ministry has taken?
I will only say this, that concerns with regards to a particular institution when addressed to the MHRD are looked into in depth, even if there is a need to send a fact-finding team in various issues, we have done so.
स्मृति जी, आनंद फ्रॉम इंडिया टीवी।
जी,
जम्मू कश्मीर में जो बाढ़ आई है उसमें हर मिनिस्ट्री और सरकार जो हम देख रहे हैं बढ़ चढ़ के काम करी, मदद पहुंचा रही है। वहाँ कई स्कूल्स, क्या लगभग सभी स्कूल्स वहाँ तबाह हो चुके हैं। बच्चों की पढ़ाई, जो जब आने वाले दिनों में जब पढ़ाई स्कूल जाएंगे तो उसके लिए क्या मिनिस्ट्री क्या करेगी? जो स्कूल तबाह हो गए उनके लिए, जो पढ़ाई को लेके
जम्मू कश्मीर में इस वक्त जो तबाही आई है, सबसे पहले तो मैं अपनी संवेदना MHRD के माध्यम से, हमारी सारी टीम के माध्यम से व्यक्त करना चाहूंगी। भारत की एक नागरिक होने के नाते मैं हमारी आर्म फोर्सेस को भी उनके सेल्फलेस सर्विस के लिए धन्यवाद देना चाहूंगी। आपसे कहना चाहूंगी कि हमारी गवर्नमेंट इन टोटलिटी जम्मू कश्मीर के नागरिकों को और विशेषतर छात्रों को भी किस प्रकार से सुविधा पहुंचाई जाए, इसके लिए कैबिनेट सेक्रेटेरिएट के माध्यम से कई प्रयास कर रहे हैं। सेक्रेटरी स्कूल एजुकेशन और हायर एजुकेशन और कैबिनेट सेक्रेटेरिएट, हमारी सरकार के बीच में निरंतर वार्तालाप है कि रिहैबिलिटेशन प्रोसेस में हम लोग कैसे भाग ले सकें।
स्मृति जी, सुबोध फ्रॉम भारत मीडिया, आपसे मेरा प्रश्न है कि आपकी सरकार समानता के लिए बहुत कुछ बोली है और करने भी जा रही है। मेरा प्रश्न है एजुकेशन के क्षेत्र में कि प्लेसमेंट सर्विसेज जो हैं, जो कैंपस प्लेसमेंट हैं, इससे सिर्फ उच्च इंस्टीट्यूट में जो बड़े ही शक्तिशाली लोगों की यूनिवर्सिटी और इंस्टीट्यूट हैं, वहाँ बच्चे पढ़ते हैं और उनका 100% कैंपस सिलेक्शन हो जाता है। जो साधारण बच्चे छोटे स्कूल से जाते हैं, सरकारी स्कूल से जाते हैं, वो उतनी मोटी फी दे के वहाँ तक पहुँचते नहीं है। तो उनका तो हिंदुस्तान में कहीं सिलेक्शन ही नहीं है, चूंकि जॉब है ही नहीं, जितना है उतना कैंपस सिलेक्शन है। तो क्या करेगी आपकी सरकार इस विषय में?
मैं अभी इस प्रेजेंटेशन में भी इस बात का उल्लेख था कि कैसे एम्प्लॉयबिलिटी को बढ़ाने के लिए हमने यूजीसी हो या एआईसीटी हो या एमएचआरडी हो, उसके माध्यम से वोकेशनल एजुकेशन में इजाफा करने का प्रयास किया है। आपका ध्यान आकर्षित करना चाहती हूं कि 15 तारीख को यूजीसी के सौजन्य से देश भर से वाइस चांसलर्स, एजुकेशन सेक्रेटरीज को आमंत्रित किया गया है कि एम्प्लॉयबिलिटी और स्किल को स्केल अप कैसे किया जाए।
मैम, मैं अकरम हूँ सहारा समय से।
जी,
जो पीडीएफ में पोस्ट डॉक्टरेट फेलोशिप दी जाती है वुमेन को, जो अमूमन साइंस से डॉक्टरेट करने के बाद जो प्रोजेक्ट करती हैं, अमूमन ये होता है कि वुमेन एम्पावरमेंट को लेकर कुछ तरीके से काम हो रहा है। उसी में ये सवाल है कि जब शादियां होती हैं उन महिलाओं की, तो वो आगे बढ़ नहीं पाती। अभी साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी मिनिस्ट्री ने कहा था कि हम इसके ऊपर कई सारे फेलोशिप निकालेंगे और कई तरह के वर्क करेंगे। क्या एमएचआरडी उसमें कोई इन्वॉल्वमेंट दिखाएगा, या जो सीट्स हैं यूनिवर्सिटी में वो बढ़ाएगा? इसके अलावा जो साइंटिस्ट की पोस्ट हैं वो बढ़ाएगा? एक सवाल। दूसरा सवाल ये कि 5 सितंबर को डायरेक्ट इंटरेक्शन हुआ था पीएम मोदी का बच्चों के साथ, क्या 14 नवंबर को भी कोई ऐसी योजना है?
आपकी रुचि के लिए आपको धन्यवाद देना चाहूंगी। 14 नवंबर तक आप इंतजार कीजिए कि उस दिन हम लोग क्या प्रयास करना चाहते हैं अपने बाल विद्यार्थियों के लिए, बच्चों के लिए। जहां तक कि आपने बात की पोस्ट डॉक्टरेट फेलोशिप्स का, महिलाओं को विशेषतः जिस प्रकार से आपने कहा सुविधा पहुंचाने की बात है, तो अगर आपने हमारे प्रस्तुतिकरण में देखा होगा तो यूजीसी और एआईसीटी के माध्यम से हम कैसे पीएचडीज में और विशेषतः महिलाओं के लिए इजाफा कर रहे हैं, उसका उल्लेख है।
स्मृति जी, मधुरेंद्र बोल रहा हूँ न्यूज नेशन से।
जी नमस्कार।
मेरी चिंता दिल्ली को लेकर है। दिल्ली में हालात ये हैं कि सरकारी स्कूलों में भी दाखिला जो है उसके लिए लंबी कतारें हैं और दाखिला मिल पाना मुश्किल है। राइट टू एजुकेशन के तहत आपके नाक के नीचे हालात हैं। और प्राइवेट स्कूलों की बात करें तो नए प्राइवेट स्कूल खुल नहीं पा रहे हैं क्योंकि लैंड पॉलिसी सरकार की क्लियर नहीं है। तो जब राइट टू एजुकेशन देश की राजधानी में ही पूरी तरह इंप्लीमेंट नहीं हो पा रहा है, तो फिर आपका मंत्रालय देश के बाकी हिस्सों में कैसे इंप्लीमेंट कर पाएगा?
मैं आपका ध्यान इस बात पर आकृष्ट करना चाहूंगी कि मैं केंद्र सरकार की प्रतिनिधि हूं, इसलिए प्रदेश संबंधी जितने भी आपके प्रश्न हैं उसका जवाब प्रदेश की सरकार अथवा प्रदेश के नुमाइंदे बेहतर तरीके से दे पाएंगे। लेकिन राइट टू एजुकेशन एक्ट से संबंधित जिन भी चुनौतियों का आपने अभी अभी उल्लेख किया, हम जब स्टेट एजुकेशन सेक्रेटरीज की कन्वर्जेंस एक मीटिंग करते हैं, उसमें हम लोग इन सभी समस्याओं पर समाधान कैसे उपलब्ध कराया जाए उस पर न सिर्फ चर्चा करते हैं बल्कि उस पाथवे को फिर हम फॉलो भी करते हैं कि कितना इम्प्लीमेंट हो पाया और किस प्रकार से हम सुविधा दिला पाए। आपको एक और बात जोड़कर कहना चाहूंगी कि जब मंत्रालय में मेरा पहला दिन था तब मुझे इस बात का आभास हुआ कि स्कूली शिक्षा और उच्च शिक्षा के बीच में कोई कन्वर्जेंस ऑफ एफर्ट नहीं था, वो सब साइलोज में काम कर रहे थे। इसलिए हमारा प्रयास ये है कि हम सब शिक्षा से संबंधित जितनी भी चुनौतियां हैं उन्हें एज ए कोहेसिव टीम उसे एड्रेस करें।
This is the last question, please.
Smriti ji, I am Aditi Tandon here, this side. Aditi Tandon from the Tribune.
Yes.
I have two questions related to the higher education reforms.
Yes.
You know, a lot of work in the past government was done on the unfair practices in higher education, and a bill was also mooted. Similarly, the National Academic Depository Bill was mooted. I just want to know the status of these two efforts because capitation fee is a huge issue and a huge barrier in access. And second, a very short question about school education. There was a committee of the CABE that was formed last year with regard to review of the no detention and no annual examination element in the right to education bill. A report of that committee has been submitted. What is happening on that?
Thank you for the 3 questions and not 2. I will only say this, that the subcommittee report that has been submitted is a report which will be up for discussion on the platform of the CABE, and the concerns expressed by not only the subcommittee but also various chief ministers with regards to this particular part or this particular initiative within the policy is something that we are already reviewing, but like I said, the conversation will pertain to the platform of CABE. Insofar as the National Academic Depository, let me say this, that the standing committee during the previous regime had certain concerns with regards to how the National Academic Depository will roll out. Those concerns are being addressed within my ministry currently. And so far as legislation go, let me only say this, that we are bringing about legislative reforms which will enable students to get better facilities vis-a-vis higher education, but we are also seeing what are the institutional reforms that can be done within the given structures of our regulators to ensure that unfair practices by institutions are stopped. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. The minister's questions.
The gentleman from Northeast wants to ask a question.
Madam, I'm Dr.
So
Manoj
I'll
Banerjee.
take the liberty, gentlemen and ladies,
Madam,
just to
I'm-
allow one Northeast question, one Madarsa question. Thank
Madam, I'm Manoj Banerjee from Doinik Agradut, Assam.
you. Yes.
Just now, Mr. Sisodia was telling that it is a very neglected area. Even then, a large part of the fund allotted for Sarva Shiksha Abhijan has been not utilized, properly utilized, and has been returned to the government center. So, what steps you are going to take?
I will only say this, that we understand the challenges and the needs of the Northeast, and hence particularly for the Northeast students, we have developed two programs. One is Ishan Uday, which provides 10,000 scholarships, particularly for the students of Northeast. The other is Ishan Vikas, which is a very innovative path-breaking step, where students of the Northeast and teachers will be facilitated in an interaction with IITs, IIMs and IISers across the country. So in order to enhance their capacity, capability and their desire to pursue technical education, these are the two initiatives. Insofar as the challenges vis-a-vis RTE and the state of Assam, these are issues that we have brought up in our conversation with the State Education Secretary. Also, when the Chief Minister of Assam called upon me in the MHRD office, we highlighted these challenges and sought early solutions for them. जी।
SM आसिफ, एडिटर इन दिनों उर्दू डेली, आपने अभी पूरा दिखाया है, उसमें क्या है कि मॉडर्नाइज मदरसा एजुकेशन, ये आपके बीजेपी के मैनिफेस्टो में, और दूसरा आपका है उर्दू का प्रमोशन। तो उर्दू प्रमोशन काउंसिल और मदरसा, और तीसरा है कि जो माइनॉरिटी के बच्चे हैं उनका ड्रॉप आउट सबसे ज्यादा है, इनके लिए आप क्या करें?
मैं आपसे कहना चाहूंगी कि जो प्रगति हमने स्कीम अभी अभी हाईलाइट की स्कॉलरशिप्स की, उसमें माइनॉरिटी बच्चों का भी भाग होगा, जिनको हम इनेबल करेंगे ताकि वो हायर एजुकेशन और विशेषतः टेक्निकल एजुकेशन के आयामों का लाभ उठा सके। जहां तक कि मॉडर्नाइजेशन ऑफ मदरसा की बात है, इस विषय पर आदरणीय वित्त मंत्री जी ने अपनी स्पीच में पार्लियामेंट में ही उल्लेख किया था कि कितनी वित्तीय सहायता इसमें दी जाएगी। मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ माइनॉरिटी अफेयर्स के साथ मिलकर इस वक्त हम लोग आगे की दिशा तय कर रहे हैं। Thank you.